China's rise on the world stage has been nothing short of extraordinary. It's even been said that this is China's century. But with an increasingly authoritarian regime, China's relationship with the rest of the world is in uncharted territory. There's real concern about its ambitious economic expansion, and its growing military capabilities now reaches further than ever before.
China in the 1920s, a troubled land with a fabled history, once the most advanced civilization on Earth. This is the ancient greatness that Mao Zedong sets out to reclaim.
In 1945, mainland China was led by Chiang Kai-shek and his nationalist government.
In 1945, Japan surrenders. China has won the war.
And control of Taiwan went back to China.
But China is a ravaged land as Mao resumes his guerrilla warfare. Famine is widespread, people eat grass.
Chairman Mao and his communist forces fought savagely to overthrow the nationalists.
The fighting goes on for 4 years, until, in Mao's words, the cities of China fall like ripe fruit.
May 27, 1949. Down Shanghai's princely avenues rolls the victorious red tide. Red Star triumphant, hoisted over the world's most ancient nation. Silently, the crowds observe their newest conquerors.
Chiang Kai-shek and members of his government retreated to Taiwan, along with 2 million refugees.
Where Chiang Kai-shek with American arms has re-equipped an army 600,000 strong and dreams reconquest.
Chiang Kai-shek lost the Chinese Civil War and he decamped to Taiwan. From 1949 onwards, the British recognised Communist China, even though the Americans didn't.
Mao Zedong and his trusted Chief of Staff, Zhou Enlai, have made Communist China an emerging superpower by brutal force and rigid discipline. On Formosa, renamed Taiwan, nationalist China is ready, says Madame Chiang Kai-shek, to invade the mainland.
It thus strikes us as strange to be asked, as we are so often asked, do you expect to return to mainland China?
Despite threats and warnings, Mao never attacks the nationalists on Taiwan.
76 years later, little has changed. Taiwan still claims to be the legitimate government of the Republic of China, and Communist China still claims sovereignty over Taiwan. But now, President Xi wants an end to the status quo, and he's set a deadline.
Minister, nice to meet you. Can you give us an idea of what it's like to represent the Taiwanese government and, in doing so, representing the Taiwanese people in the face of such Chinese aggression at the moment? Can you give us a sense of what that is like?
Well, thank you very much. To be Taiwan's foreign minister is probably the most difficult diplomatic job on the face of the planet, because the Chinese government has always tried to make our diplomatic life very difficult.
Taiwan is an island, just 160 kilometres off the coast of mainland China. It's half the size of Tasmania, but it's home to 25 million people, and it's thriving. From humble fabric making to leading the world in advanced manufacturing. But this proud democracy is under a very real threat from Communist China. Tensions have never been greater.
Is there a feeling of inevitability that President Xi will take Taiwan in the same way that he reclaimed Hong Kong?
We try not to let that happen. And the situation in Hong Kong and the situation in Taiwan are very different. Hong Kong was under China's jurisdiction. But Taiwan is not under China's jurisdiction, not even for one day. And we have our own central government, we have our own military, we are able to defend ourselves. And therefore, what's happening in Hong Kong will not happen in Taiwan.
With the largest military force in the world, the People's Republic of China is running a constant campaign of intimidation and aggression against Taiwan.
For example, the Chinese government has conducted direct military threat against Taiwan. And the Chinese government is trying to prevent us from participating in international organizations or international activities. The Chinese government has been preventing us from having more substantial relations with other countries. So this is making our life very difficult here in Taiwan.
In the last 12 months, the People's Liberation Army have made over 400 illegal flights into Taiwan's air zone. And on the ground, the Chinese are using cyber attacks and disinformation campaigns to spread oppression and communist ideology amongst the Taiwanese people.
In China's mind, Taiwan has always been a part of China and should be returned to China. They've shown that they're very willing to exercise military and economic threats to try to bring Taiwan to heel. But of course, it's done the opposite. Taiwan has very much moved away from China. Taiwanese people feel Taiwanese, they don't feel Chinese, and only a small fraction of the Taiwanese public actually want to be unified with China. It's less than 1 in 10.
Taiwan is ready for China to make a move. But Taiwan will never be a match for the sheer size and strength of the People's Liberation Army.
Minister, can you defend yourself on your own?
We will absolutely defend ourselves. And that is the national determination. The people here will have the will and the determination to defend ourselves. After all, this is our territory, this is our sovereignty, and this is our democratic way of life.
I think it's important that the rest of the world makes it crystal clear to Beijing that there will be very serious consequences indeed were there to be any move on Taiwan.
We face a reality where the world must acknowledge that the Chinese Communist Party is a rogue regime, that is a regime that should not ever be considered to be a good actor in the international community, and it is a regime intent on global domination.
Due to its fraught history with mainland China, Taiwan's status has always been complicated. It has no formal relations with key democracies. So Taiwan has established unofficial relations with fellow democracies around the world, pictured here in yellow, such as India, Australia, and the US, to name a few. It's a unique situation, but it's key to Taiwan's independence.
If China did go in, so to speak, and try and take Taiwan, would the US go to war with China?
It would kind of depend. If Taiwan had been provocative, that might evoke a different response from the United States. But if 23.5 million democratically inclined people are attacked wantonly in military force, I think there would be, and I certainly hope there would be, a military response by the United States and others.